Welcome to the Women's National League Wrap for Series 26, the second last weekend of the season. I'm joined again with Alanna, and as always, we're just going to dive straight in. We'll head over to the game that was on TG Cahir, another big moment for the Women's National League, and perhaps not as big a moment as we thought it might have been originally. But yeah, DLR Waves managed to hold Pima into a 0-0 draw, denying them winning the title. And yeah, I just want to ask, what did you think of the DLR Waves performance? Because I think last week I was the one saying that maybe they had lost themselves a little bit, but it was probably one of their, strongest performances of the season, and especially Eve Badana as well. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think they were determined to go out and prove a point and kind of put those rumours kind of to bed that they may have been trailing off, because they were just a class at the weekend. I don't know how else to describe it. Like Eve Bandana, especially, as you say, she was a brick wall there. And everyone's talking about the penalty save, but there was so much more throughout the course of the play. Like, that's her 9th clean sheet of the season too, so it's not like she hasn't done it before and she'll not do it again, because honestly that was one of her best performances of the year. I think they owe a lot of that point to her. She was just phenomenal, and it makes it interesting, as I say, going into next weekend. I think as well, just to mention, major kudos to DLR in general, because on and off the pitch, like, they could have played that game in the UCD Bowl, but they played it over in Peamount for the good of the Women's National League, as Graham Kelly said, just to have it on the TV. So I think props to them. It's clear that they're in it for the long haul to see DLR do well, but also the WNL in general.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make as well. Just kind of making that decision, as you said, for the better of the Women's National League, rather than, for maybe a better chance of getting a result or something. And listen, it stood to them well. Another kind of historic moment was down in Turner's Cross. Cork City beat Treaty United 3-1, and they had a record attendance at the game. Do you think, finishing their season with a win like this, with a moment like this, is kind of what Cork deserved after what was quite a tough season for them?
Yeah, I think it'll go down as a day, surely, that they won't forget for a long time, but also the 1007 attendees won't either, because for the players and the management, as you say, it's nice to end the season on a high. A tough season overall, I suppose, but at the same time, I think they'll come out swinging next season. They've had a lot of bright sparks in the team, so I'm sure they'll catch some of their opposition sleeping. That underdog tag might actually kind of suit them, because if, like, their attack is just brilliant, like Laura Shine, Eva Mangan, Sarah McKevitt, and of course, captain Becky Casson. They're a force to be reckoned with if they can just avoid ceding goals down the other end next season.
And I think they probably ended the season a lot stronger than they started it. So are you expecting a better season from them next year?
Yeah, I think so. They'll have some tough competition in there now. Really, I think a lot of the teams down the bottom have really come on in this latter half of the season. So it will be interesting to see where things kind of end up next year, because I'm sure the likes of Bohs will be looking to push on and overtake, let's say, Galway, and maybe even put it up to DLR. But for Cork, I think it's just if they can get those one or two spots higher, but really just kind of retain that stakehold as where they are, as opposed to going down towards the end a bit more.
And you mentioned Bohs there. They were playing against Shelburne at the weekend. They lost 3-1. And I'm sure they probably weren't too happy with that. They were looking for a bit of revenge after the last time the two teams met. But yeah, kind of on that note as well, where do you see Bohs going next season? Because they progressed a lot from last season. So yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, they're still a nearly enough formed team as well. I'm sure, as you say, that 3-2 back in August was still fresh in the mind with the late winner, the killer blow. I know I still remember it, and I'm not from either team, but I suppose it has to be thought about in the perspective that Shells are just on the upward incline and have, a cup final coming up and still have an outside chance of the league. So they're no joking in top form. And I don't think that was any discredit to Bohs and their performance. I think they have a great club ethos kind of coming through. And like, even if you look at their players, Courtney Maguire has been a sensation for them, as was Yvonne Hedigan. before her injury. So I think they've just had those few things kind of go awry for them. But if they can start well next season, there's no reason that they can't be pushing your Galways or your DLRs, as I said. I think as well, Sean Byrne is a great attribute for them. He's known for being the tactics man, but he can also spot that bit of talent. And that certainly hasn't been proved wrong as of yet.
And then finally, we'll talk about Galway and Athlone Town. They drew 1-1 on Friday night. I think as the season's gone on, the games have become more competitive and you just can't predict what's going to happen at all, especially down kind of in the bottom half of the season. So who has kind of impressed you most by their progress?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say Galway for that one with the sensation that Savannah McCarthy has been, especially. I think there's shouts across the bottom of the table, like truly have that potential streak and that bit of something that everyone kind of identifies in them that we touched on last week. And, you know, as I said, Bows have those standout stars, even with like Abby Brophy, but like if they can get a firm foothold next season, there'll be no stopping them. The same can be said for Cork City, as I said, with their attack. I think it's just their midfield and defence that needs work. But for me, I think it's been Athlone that have progressed the most, especially in the latter half of the season. Like if you look at their results since, let's say, August, like Hewitt has really turned it around there. They haven't lost to DLR this season, which I think is a testament to them. Like, okay, obviously with the bigger teams, you're going to kind of expect that, but not to lose to DLR, I think is a great result to have under your belt. But they've also got those exciting players like Roshan Malloy, Maureen Devani, Kelly Brennan, and I think that 1-1 with Galway over the weekend was only the tip of the iceberg. Like they've had massive results since the summer, so they're showing a lot of potential, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so if they can hold on to those players.
And looking forward to next week. Athlone will be playing Bohemians, and that kind of the sixth spot is very much up for grabs. Which way do you see that going? Do you think Athlone will leapfrog Bohemians, or do you think Bows will keep it?
I think Athlone, will have us a surprise win over Bows. I think they've been building that momentum quietly there, and I think it would be a great top off to the end of the season to get that win. And I'm not sure Bows would be too happy, but I think they're on the upward incline, and I can see them getting the result this weekend.
Yeah, they definitely have a bit of momentum going into it. Like the last 4 weeks, they've had good results. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see. And then, of course, we have to talk about what way is this league going to finish? How's the title race going to go? What are your predictions for the matches next weekend?
Yeah, for all we were talking about, it would take a big blip for Pease to fall short. That little one against DLR may well have been the undoing of them. Now, I don't see that happening, but obviously there is that possibility. So if Pease on 60, Shells on 58. So even if Peamount draw with Galway, they don't have it wrapped up. So it really is closer than we were all kind of making it out to be. I think that 5-0 against Shells had us all thinking like they were acres behind, but like evidently they're not. In saying that though, I suppose a result against Wexford will not be easy to come by, and I think James O'Callaghan is well experienced in these kind of deadline days, but like having to pull a result out of the bag when needed. So I think they will surpass Galway, and I can see them lifting the cup this weekend.
Well, it'll be definitely a very interesting one to watch, and Peamount's game against Galway will be on TG Cahir, and we'll be able to see how all of that action unfolds. But thanks again, Alanna, for joining me, and we'll speak again soon after everything has been decided and the league is done.